Can somebody quickly confirm that you can hear my voice? Hello, Manan. Hello, Vaibhav. I see you're here. An, Shantanu, Arush. Is my voice audible? Can you hear me? Yes? Perfect. So today is going to be a longer class than usual. We are going to spend about 90 minutes. I'm good, Vaibhav. Thank you for asking. I hope you're good as well. Welcome, Palak. Good to see you here. Uh, Today, we are going to spend about 90 minutes and we're going to build an app that I hope you are actually not only going to build, but you are over time going to use as well. Okay. So I see people are still joining in. So I'm going to hang on for some more time for a few more people to join in if they want to. And today, like you can see the title, we are going to explore the world of app creation. And what I mean by that is that we are going to understand what is this even, why are we doing it, and what are the advantages of doing this. We are going to we're going to make a diary app, Vaibhav, and we're going to build something that is actually going to be done within the 90 minutes today. And if you start if you've got all the setup done, after that it's a matter of just another hour and a half of working, and you should have a fully functional app that you will actually start using immediately, right? So today what we are going to do is that we are going to build something called a Dear Diary app, like Google Keep Notes, more or less, yes. Except if you remember or if you use a physical diary to write down your thoughts and your, what you're doing, what you've done on that day, you will know that a diary has only one entry per day. Google Keep Notes can have as many entries as you want, Manan. But what we are trying to build is something a little more you know uh, old school, which is you used to have those physical diaries. You still have them. I don't know if you're used to doing this or not, but every day there is one page dedicated to that day, and at the end of the day typically you come back and write dear diary, and you're talking to the diary. Dear diary, today I did this, I did that, this happened, I felt that about this, and all of your thoughts and your actions for the day you kind of document inside your diary app. All right. And it was I mean, it is generally considered good form to actually start that entry with dear diary, because that diary becomes your friend. You're talking to the diary and confiding in the diary and telling your story to the diary and all. So with that in mind, we're calling the app as Dear Diary app. And this is how the app is going to look. It's going to look pretty simple, in that there's going to be an entire page dedicated to the given day, right? Exactly how it would be in a physical diary, where one full screen is dedicated to that one day. Okay. What we are going to do is that we'll have a position where if you have already entered the data into that, if you have already typed in your days story into that day, for example 13th 12 2020, you will see something which has existing data shown here with an option to edit it. However, if you have not entered, for example 14th, you will have an option to type in and save. This is what we are going to do. And if we have time towards the end of the session, uh, it's above part is like our habit tracker that we have made in the class. Yes, Vaibhav. And Vaibhav is talking about a 3-month course that we are doing, in which we are building a detailed habit tracker app. The up part looks like habit tracker. Yes, Vaibhav. But if you can visualize, this one is just one day. In our habit tracker app, that's an entire week. Correct? So we are trying to make this as real as possible to the real world diaries, where one page means one day. Okay. With that in mind, in the next 45 odd minutes, we are going to learn this. We're going to learn design concepts. We are going to learn about what colors are, what font sizes mean, what icons we can use. We will talk about Dart concepts. Dart is the programming language that we are going to use. Khushi, Gupta, Topper, welcome. Variables, we'll talk about something called lists. There is methods, there is conditionals. We'll talk about all of that. And then we'll talk about a few widgets. We'll talk about a container widget, a column widget, a row, text, button. And if this feels like too much, don't worry, we're going to go real slow. This time I have, rather than doing a slightly rushed 60-minute session, I have taken 90-minute session. So I'll spend a little more time with you explaining each concept in a little more detail. However, you have to remember that the concept of widgets is what? A widget is a rectangle. That's all you need to know. You don't have to work too hard to understand what that widget is. A widget is a rectangle. It could be imagined like it is a box. So inside the box, you can keep certain things. Sometimes inside the box, you can keep more boxes. And inside those boxes, you can keep more boxes or something else and so on. And using widgets, we are able to create a full-fledged mobile app. And that's what we are going to do today. Look at the widgets that we are talking about. The app that I just showed, the top part here, the red colored one where it says Dear Diary, this says app bar, right? And the bottom is the body. And there is further bottom where we can build a bottom navigation bar, but we are not going to do that today. We're going to build two kinds of widgets, the app bar and the body. Now, within the app bar, uh, within the body, I mean, you are going to further segregate the levels. So think of it like putting one box on top and then one box. So this here is the date tracker part. Okay, that's what we are going to build. The date tracker is going to look like this, in which there's a left button to go left, right button to go right, and the current date, today's date, is displayed here. And then there is the diary entry itself. Today, uh, I built an app using Flutter, Dear Diary, I have typed, and that is what is going to stay for 13th. So if I go forward, if there is no entry, it's going to allow me to create an entry. And if there is an entry, it's going to show it to me with an option to edit it. Okay. While you can go much, much farther than this with a diary app, and I hope after you have learned the basics and you've built it yourself, you will push farther and build better. We are going to limit our current understanding to this. Okay. And before we get into actually starting the work, I want to understand from you people who are on this session already, how many of you have any mobile app development experience? Answer in yes or no. Do you have any programming experience, any mobile app development experience? Naam mat puchna. Okay. Manan, you said no. Anybody else? Can I have some more responses so that I know how deep to go into this? See, the idea is you tried web apps, all right. You have some experience web app. I know you. And anybody else? I have a few more people here in this session. Okay, cool. So what I want to do here is that I want to start as if either if you're watching this live or you're going to watch a recorded version of this, I'm going to assume that you are a beginner, and based on that, I'm going to explain. However, you'll have to probably watch it a few times just to ensure that you understand the concepts. But once you understand the concepts, you are going to build apps like this. Up to that point, you'll have to work a little harder if you have no programming experience. Okay, if that makes sense, let's get started. What you will need is that not right now, but after you have seen this session, after you have experienced it, understood what I'm talking about, once you want to build your own app, you will need a laptop. You'll either need a MacBook or you will need a Windows laptop. You will need either an iPhone or any Android phone. And to be honest, even when you're developing the mobile app, the phone is optional because we use something called an emulator. The emulator takes care of much of the work. And you'll have to install a few software. You'll have to install something called VS Code, which is our coding platform. We have to install something called Flutter, which is an SDK or a software development kit. You'll have to install either Android Studio or Xcode, depending on whether you want to create Android apps or uh, iOS, iPhone apps. right? If you have a MacBook, you will be able to create both Android and iPhone apps. If you have a Windows, you will only be able to create Android apps. You will not be able to create iPhone apps from a Windows laptop. So that is some requirements and expectations. Like I said, these are the software you will need: VS Code, Flutter, Android Studio, and Xcode. You will need any three of them. If you can install, if you have a Mac and install all four, nothing like it. But you will need at least any three of them to be able to get your work done: VS Code, Flutter, Android Studio, and or Xcode. Multiple output directory specified is error coming when I create a new Flutter project. Hang on then, Vaibhav. We will talk about errors and doubt clearance in a while, because we have to start and end the project within the stipulated time today. Anyways, I'm currently conducting a detailed 3-month mobile app dev course. And as you can imagine, Vaibhav here, with whom I'm talking, is already a part of that group. There, what we do is that we spend hours understanding every little concept. We pick one day, one entire hour, and we go really deep into the concept until all the participants understand what is happening. And then we move on to the next concept. This one is a fast paced lesson. We've got about 90 minutes, of which 10 minutes are already gone. So we're going to go considerably faster, although I'll try my best to explain everything. But if you feel it's a little too fast, please come back and watch the video again, pause it, rewind it, watch it again, and you will not miss it. But right now, if you blink, you are going to miss the link. So watch attentively, watch carefully, and we will go from there. And what will happen if you pay attention is you will see a blank mobile screen is going to convert into something that actually starts working just like magic. Less than 200 lines of code, and it'll start working. Okay, so that's what we'll do. If you have any questions, ask them. I'll answer at the end if there is time. I'm not sure how much time will be left with at the end of this, because like I said, this is a slightly fast-paced session. Okay, enough talking already. Let's get to the code. I'm going to share my screen now, and once I do that, I am going to start working straight with the code. Let me just drag this away for one moment. Hang on, please, while I set up this thing. All right, cool. So I hope you can see my screen. If somebody could quickly confirm if my screen is visible, and you can see on the right side a mobile app emulator which says Dear Diary on the top and Dear Diary in white in center. And on the left is some 45 lines of code. Okay, and what is this called? This is called the boilerplate or the beginning code. It's got nothing in it. This is some essential code that you have to write, and after that the essential code is written. We just have the app bar which says title text widget dot title. What is widget dot title? It comes from here. Okay, this dot title, and that comes right here. Whatever is there, that's put as Dear Diary, and we are good to go. In the body where you're seeing this diary, all I've done is I've put one center, and inside that I have put text of Dear Diary, and I've set style of font size 24. That's all I have done. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to start over and build it from scratch. Okay, with that in mind, if this much is clear, we are going to get to the next stage. All right, here we go. I'm going to keep the top portion, the app bar, and I'm going to delete this, and we can start working on this straight away. Now, if you wonder how this one even came about, how did we come to this part, who typed all of this code, why is this running here, and all of that, there is a 1-hour lesson in which I have explained how do you create new Flutter apps and go about it. Basically, you do something like this. CMD is the command prompt. If you hit enter, you get here wherever you want to create the Flutter app. I have a folder called desktop, and inside that I have got a folder called code, and in here I would type Flutter create, and then whatever name I want. For example, I might say Dear Diary. I'm not going to do it now, but if you do this and hit enter, what will happen is that it will create all your base code that you would need. And once you get to that part, you come to run and you hit on start debugging or hit F5 on your laptop, and you're good to go. That's the whole plan. You first of all go here, you say open folder, and in here you select dear diary. This is the folder that would be created when I hit enter on that command prompt. If I do that, open, this whole thing will open. I come here and I hit on I start debugging button like here, or I go to run and click on start debugging. One way or the other, this will happen and an app like this will come. And I have made some basic changes to the standard app, and we are here. All of this is to save time, because if I do all of that now, it would take another 20 minutes just to do this. So I have moved on faster, saved about 5-10 minutes, so that we can do this. But otherwise, it's all pretty straightforward. Like I said, in the course that we are doing, I have spent 1 full hour explaining everything in extreme detail, and you should be able to identify what is happening and work with it. All right. So with that in mind, what we are going to do is that we are going to start once again to build that, uh, you know, app what I displayed in the beginning. On the top here, we are going to build that box which will have the date and a left right button. In here, we'll have the text box, and under that we'll have the save button. That's what we are going to do. Let's start with building what is called the top date toggling or date changing part. Okay. What we are going to do is that I want to start with something called list view. List view is a widget. Like I said, a widget that is like a box which can contain more box. So it can hold a list of other children. Children are widgets that are put inside the other widgets. And the first child I want to put inside list view is called container. Okay, container is another widget, and that takes a child, and that could be another widget called text. So if I start with this, and again, if this is at this moment seeming a little complex, don't worry, it will grow on you and you'll understand what is happening here. Inside this text, if I type today date, right? And if I save that, what will happen is there is something that called performing hot reload that will happen. And once that happens, in here on the mobile app on the right side, you see this today date appears here. So what I have now done is in a list, I have created today date text and I've put it there. Now, obviously, I don't want it looking like that. I want it looking much better. So I want a color to be given to it. So the container can be given a color. So I type color colon and I say colors dot purple. Okay. If I do that, right, and save it, what will happen is that a background color is going to be set to the place where it says today date. It's looking better, but we want it to become much better. We know in the center we want a date, in the left we want a left arrow button, in the right we want a right arrow button. So that's what we are going to put now. So instead of text that says today's date, we are instead going to create a widget called row. As you can imagine, if it is a row, you can put one thing after the other within that row. All right. So in the row, primarily, we are going to have 3 children. The first one is going to be and I'm going to write a comment here and do this first. Icon button is the first thing I'm going to do, which is where the left arrow button will come. After that, I am going to put a text widget, and after that I'm going to put another icon button. I hope this is making sense, because there's going to be a left and there's going to be a right icon button, and inside that is going to be the text. Okay, so let's start this. And now I say, this icon button, it needs a few things. It needs something called the icon itself. And what icon do I need? I know which one I need. It is going to be a left arrow icon. So it's going to be called icons dot arrow left. Arrow left is going to create that left icon. Okay. And uh, because it's a button, the button is going to be pressed, and I need something to happen when the button is pressed. So there is something called on pressed. So on press of the button, I want something to happen. And what do I want to happen? I want uh, right now, I'm just going to leave it blank. Right now, I'm not going to do something. We're going to come back to this. So basically what I've said is that I want a left arrow button, and on press of that, right now, do nothing. Okay. And I can come down, and instead of a commented out icon button, I can do one more thing here. I can say icon button, and once again, repeat, but this time I don't want a left arrow. I want a right arrow. So I'm going to say icons dot arrow underscore right. All right. So what I've done now is that I have got a left arrow, some text, and right arrow. And obviously in here also, I'm going to have to do an on pressed, because a button does not exist without reason. A button exists because it is going to be pressed. So what we have done is this. Now in here, I am going to need a text. Okay. So I can say here, for example, 13/12/2020, which is today's date. And I can say, I don't want it to appear like it is already appearing as today's date, a small font with black and all that. I want to give it a little style. I want to make it look good. So I can say, style this text for me, please, Flutter. And there is a text style widget for it. And what the text style widget does is that it allows you to set a font size. And I can say I want the font size to be 24. And I can even set the color, because I know black does not look really good on purple. I know white does. So I can say this dot white. Okay. And if I save this now, it's going to auto format itself to start looking better and all of that. But if we look here now, what will happen is that the portion which is here, it's starting to look slightly better. Okay. Now that we know that, we are progressing towards where we wanted, we can make a few more quick changes here. I can say that icon is too small, so I want the icon size to become 40. And again, I don't like that black, so I am going to say colors dot white. Okay. And since this is the same thing that's going to happen for the bottom icon also, I'm just going to copy that, and along with the icon selection, I'm going to come here and paste it and say icon size is 40, colors is equal to colors dot white. And if I save that, you will see this starts looking the size and all of that starts looking good. However, it is still aligned to the left. I don't want the text to be aligned to the left. I want it aligned center. I want it to use all the space available. Okay. By that, I know that this is because this is a row. It has an axis called main axis. So in the row here, okay, I can do something called main axis alignment. Say, okay, how is the axis supposed to be aligned? Right now, it is aligned towards the left. I want it aligned towards the right center, but in a certain way, which says space evenly. I say whatever buttons are available, whatever content is available here, I want to space it evenly. And if I do that, I could do many things, but if I do that, what will happen is that it uses the space properly, spreads itself out, and starts looking the way we want it. The date appears okay to me. Obviously, this part is kind of hard coded to a certain date. I don't want that. What I want instead is that I want to call it a by a variable name called disp date. Okay. And for the moment, what I'm going to do is that I am going to put the variable called disp date right here and uh, the date here. I'm going to say 13/12/2020, that, and set this to string. So if I say disp date is equal to 13/12/2020 and save this, nothing will change. Instead of putting the date here, we have now put it as a variable. Obviously, we are going to get it based on the current date itself. Now I've got this part. What I want to start happening is if I press the right or left buttons, the date should start changing. That's the first change we want to do. And we know how to do that. We know on press of a button, there is something that can happen here. So I can say something like this: change date. I can say whenever the button is pressed, just change the date, right? And if I do that, something will have to change. Now, both of these cannot be changed at date. One has to be either previous, the other has to be next. So I pass an extra parameter to this and say, you know what? If I press on this one, change the date to previous. And if I press on this one, change the date to next. Okay. Now that we know what is going to happen, we can go one step further and we start building the change date functionality and stuff like that. So I'm going to say change date. Okay. And change date is going to do something. It's going to take a string variable called direction. Direction is the variable it's going to take. If the direction is previous, right? If the direction is equal to previous, then I'm going to do something else. If it is next, I'm going to do something. What is that something I'm going to do? I just want to change this date to something else. So how do I go about that? Is that I first of all do not want to depend upon a date like this. I want something that looks like this. I want to say, listen, there is a variable that I want to start with, and that variable is called it's a today's date. When I load this, I wanted to say selected date is equal to date time dot now. And when I do this, what really happens is that the current date, whatever it is going to set into the selected date variable. Okay. And what I would want, and this is again, it's a little difficult to go into all the details of this now, but this is a different kind of variables. It's not something that you can use. You'll have to format it in a certain way. So I have a function that I can create called formatted date. This is a function I take, and it takes the date time variable called date, and it turns it into a format in which we can display it. Okay. And what we are going to do is all that we are going to do is we are going to say return date dot day dot to string. And what this does is that it extracts the day part of the string outside from this to give it to us. Now, if I can do something like this, and this one, rather than saying this is a 13/12/2020, if I say something like this one is the formatted string, sorry, formatted date of selected date. Okay. I hope this is making sense. First of all, I take a variable called selected date and I say this is today. And then I format it to show it as a string and I set it here. Now, if I save this one, here what I'm going to see is number 1313. That's all I'm going to see. Because why? We extracted today's date and then only the day format we have shown here. To bring it back to how it was looking, what I'll have to do is that I'll have to do this, and I'm going to say date dot month dot to string. I'm also going to say underscore date dot year dot to string. If I do this, I'll get the uh, format I wanted, except I will not get it with the dash or hyphen I was using in between first. It's just going to be one long 13 1 2 2020. If I want to add my you know hyphens in between, I just do another plus on this one, and I add another plus on this one. What is dot to string? It converts something to a string type, Manan. String is the only thing that can actually be displayed here. It's not a function. It is what is called as a method built into the datetime class. Whenever you have a datetime class, inside that you have many things can be converted to string. Integer can be converted to string, and so on and so forth. This in this case, I'm taking this part. I would get an integer here if I do this. Okay, and integers cannot be added to each other to look like this. So when I do a plus on this, I want to turn that into a string. Does that answer your question? It is something that converts whatever other variable type into a string variable type. Okay. So I took a selected date. I wrote a function that formats it into the, are we concatenating strings? Absolutely yes. The plus operator here is a concatenation operator or a joining operator. It's joining together two strings. Okay, so we go there, and now what I've done is that the disp date that I have here, which is a string, is coming up here. Okay, now the change date function that we started, okay, whenever I hit the right button here, what is supposed to happen is that to the current selected date, here I want the selected date to become +1, really. Okay, and there are many ways of doing this. I'm going to talk about the simplest way, which is I take the selected date, which is a date time variable, and I'm going to say to it selected date is equal to, the new selected date is going to be the current selected date dot subtract. Okay, what do I want to subtract? I want to subtract a duration of 1 day. Is 1. Does this make sense? If the previous button was clicked, this button was clicked here, I am going to say take the current selected date and subtract 1 day from it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, and obviously you can imagine what I'll do when somebody presses the next button. I'm going to say selected date is equal to selected date dot add. Instead of doing a subtract, I'm going to do a add now, and that is also going to be a duration of 1 day. Does this make sense? If the previous button was clicked, we changed this to -1. If I do next button, I click +1. Now, obviously, you would imagine this should work. However, we need to do something else called set state. And what is set state? Think of it like just refreshing the, you know, just think of this as you are refreshing a screen at the moment. Why is set state not defined? What am I missing? You would put this inside a set state function, and I wonder why it is not accepting it. Hang on, please. Oh, my bad. I've been putting all of this outside. Sorry. Uh, okay. All of this is still fine, but I should be actually putting this inside here, not outside. Okay. The set state part actually goes right inside this function. Okay. That's all. There's no other change to be done. I was putting it outside this function all along. So I have to put this back inside this class, not function. Okay. So basically what happened now is I am going to say the set state is going to say when I click on the previous and next, it's going to refresh the page for me, and there it sets the selected date. Okay, right now the selected date is you know today or now, but the moment the selected date is reset to either -1 or +1 and we go into the build function is the one that is called again every time you do a set state, and in here this date is now going to get the new date. Okay, so if I save this now, okay, and everything has gone fine and we have made no mistakes, what's going to happen is if I click on left here, the, observe how this changes to 12. Okay, if I do this, it changes to 11, and this will keep going forward or backward depending on where you are. Okay, so now what happens is that we are in control of the date. Now all we have to do is that we should find a way to enter data for this specific date. All right, and how we are going to go about that is we are going to first of all create a class called diary. Okay, we're going to create a class called diary and call it class diary. In here, we want, what do we want? We want first of all a date to be assigned and some text or title to be assigned to that entry. Okay, so I want to define the diary as something that contains a date time variable called date and a string variable called entry. That's all we really need. We need a date and we need some what did I do today kind of message. And then I just need another constructor inside this. And we are going to say this dot date, comma, this dot entry. Okay. So I have defined the diary now, and in the diary there is going to be a date and there is going to be an entry. Now our job is that every time we want a value inside there, we just push a certain date and a certain entry into it, and we should be good to go. Okay. Now let's do a few more things. We've got the selected date sorted. The upper part is moving fine, and now I want a text field coming down here. Okay, and how we go about that is a type called text editing controller. Text editing controller is the input type box that you can enter whatever you want to type into. So I'm going to call this as entry create as my variable name, and that is a text editing controller. Okay, and this is where I create something. What I would also want is that I would also want I don't want it right away, but I know I'll want it eventually, which is called a entry update box. So if an entry already exists, rather than having just create, if I want to edit that, I might want the update box also. So I'm keeping it ready right away. Okay, and on top of all of this, I am going to need a variable called entries, and that's going to be a list. Okay, and it is going to be a list of what? I'll put the semicolon here first. It's going to be a list of what? It is going to be a list of the diary style class that we have created just now. Okay, we created a class called diary, and I'm creating a list of entries which is going to start with blank. Okay, that's what we really need. Each one of these entries is now going to slowly start filling up as we enter. Okay, now I want to uh, I want a helper function of sorts. I want to determine, do we even have an entry for this date or not? Okay. And this is going to be the slightly complex version. So pay attention. What I need is that I have a change date function. I have a formatted date function and all of that. But I need to know, do I have a entry for this date or not? At this point, I want to show a blank box here if there is no entry, and I want to show whatever is there if there is an entry. You understand? There's only two possibilities. On 14th of December, I already have an entry, or I don't have an entry. If I have it, I want to show it as is. If I don't have it, I want to show an empty box to save it. For that, first of all, I need to know if the date as an entry or not, and I want a list of all the entries for that date. Okay, and this is a function that I am going to write, and this is going to be a little complex, so pay attention. What we are going to do is that entries is this list variable that we just declared. Okay, and we are going to search all those. Right now we know there's nothing in it, but after a while when we start filling, there will be. So I'm going to do a search on it, and I say in the entries look. Okay, where you find something, you return it. I'm going to say return me a list of entries where the element that you are working with now. Okay, check out a few things about the element. What do I want to know? I want to know the date of this element is the same as the entries or not. If yes, give me back that entry. Okay. If it returns an empty list, I know that this date does not have an entry. That's all I'm going to do. So now if I see element dot date, because we know it's a date time style, dot day. Okay. We have already designed this in a certain way that we are going to get this proper. Okay. And if I say to that selected date dot, day, realize what happened here? We did a comparison with what we checked in this loop almost. This is a loop that we are running. If the day matches with this, list of all entries we are going through, if the day matches with the day of the selected date, which is today, okay, that means we are getting 14 on this side and also 14 on this side, then give me back that entry. That's all we are saying. Okay, but obviously day matching is not enough. The day 14 is going to be in November, December, January, February, and all of them also. So I also want the month to match. I'm saying and match this whole thing, but this time not with the month day, but with the month. So I say if the day matches and the month matches. Okay, and let us go one step further and say and the year also matches. When the date when the day, month, and year of the selected date matches with the list of entries, I'm going to say return that entry to me. Okay, that is what I'm saying. And this is right that the entry is given back to us. How are we going to use it? We are going to use it in many ways. We are going to come here first of all and check in the box. We are going to come here. Okay, where are we? We inserted the first container, okay, which just got the top button here. Now I'm going to add the next level of this, and in the next level what I'm going to do is that I am going to do a check. I'm not going to randomly insert this. I'm going to say date entry. If date entry dot is empty. Okay, what am I checking here? I checked the date entry. Is there an entry on this date or not? If yes, sorry, if it is empty, which means it is not there, I'm going to say hang on, text, no entry, add now. And if there is, I say text has entry, edit. This is what I'm doing. I hope this is making sense. I say if there is an entry for this date, then allow me to edit it. If there is no entry, then allow me to add it. Obviously, I'm going to get no entry add now because of this condition. Okay. Now we are going to go one step further and we are going to modify the second bit, the first bit, which is in the case that it does not have a entry. I'm going to get rid of this now, and in its place, I'm going to add a column. Why am I adding a column? I'm adding a column because I'm going to insert a text field, and then I'm going to insert a button under it so that it can be saved. Okay? And in the column children, the first thing I'm going to add is something called a text form field. A capital T. Text form field is the widget that I'm adding. Okay. And it needs something. It needs a controller. And the controller is called entry create. What is this entry create? We have done this on the top already. We have set up a text controller, editing controller called entry create. And I say for this text, whatever is there in that controller, give it to me. Okay. And I can decorate this a little. I can say min lines is equal to 12, and then I can even say max lines is equal to 12, so that whatever it is, just keep it fixed. Don't let it go up or down because it looks significantly better that way. And most text inputs are by default a single line ones. So we are going to say keyboard, not appearance, I would say keyboard type is going to be text input type dot multi-line. Okay, with multi-line you are able to enter the enter character and write multiple lines and so on. So what I've done is I've inserted a text form field and I've set a controller, min lines, max lines, and I've set the keyboard type. Then after the text form field is done, I want a button. Okay, the button we are going to use is called the material button, but I think some hang on please. Okay, the comma has to be taken care of. All right, so once the text is there, if I save this, what should happen now is instead of saying no entry add now, I should get a text field instead here. And I also want a button. If you can imagine, see this thin line here, this is the text field. If I tap on this right now, I can type inside this, and this has become the text field. Okay, what I'm going to do is that I'm also going to add a material button. And what this button will do, it's just like the icon button that we put just up there. We can make this look right, and we can say child of this is a text that says text widget that says save. And after the child, I want to make it look slightly better up front. So I'm going to say colors dot green. I want the color to come up as green here. I also want some padding on this one, and we know how to do that. That is edge insets dot all and 12. So basically we have added some padding. Padding is the space around the text inside the button. Okay, and I'm going to save this for now. Okay, and when I save it, I'm going to make that button appear here, and I can actually go a little further. In fact, wait, sorry, my bad. I need an on pressed function on this one. On pressed, what needs to happen? Right now, I'm just going to call it null. Okay. But basically, on press of this, what should happen? This button is called save. We can basically say, this is a save entry button. Okay. How this making sense? Whenever I click on this, I want the save entry to be called. And this text, I can make it look slightly better. I'll come back and do that. But if I go on top here, where I have all my functions, I have an option through which I want to, first of all, save this entry. Okay. There's this date entry, which checks if the date has an entry or not. I want to create a function called save entry. Okay. And once again, we know now that we have to start with set state on this one, because the state has to be set immediately. In save entry, we have something pretty straightforward. Okay. We just need to do this, where we say the var d is equal to diary. Okay. Instead of calling it D, let me call it something else meaningful. New entry, where new entry is equal to diary. We are calling in this class now, and we need to give it a date time, and we need to give it a string. All right. So we start with that. New entry dot date is equal to, what do we know? We are in the selected date right now. We are not necessarily inserting it on the given day, but whichever is the current selected date, I want to put that. And what I want to do also is that new entry dot the entry itself, or the text that is going to be saved along with whatever has been typed here. How do we get that? We get it by saying entry create dot text. So entry create is my controller for the text editing controller. If I do a dot text on this one, whatever has been typed inside, right now it says ADHK, that is going to come here as well. Okay. This is not select date. This is selected date. So once I do this, once I've set the values of both the date and the entry, then it is straightforward. I have a list to which I'm just going to add this new entry. I say entries dot add new entry. If I do this much, I know we are good to go. I still want to do one more thing, which is this controller, whatever has just been typed, I want to unset it or remove it, basically, right? So I want to say entry create dot text, the value of which has already been taken. I'm now going to make it blank. Okay. If I do this, then I know for the current day, this thing is going to be saved. Okay. So if I do this, let us say, yeah, save this one. And if there are no errors, what will happen is that this page will refresh. Once again, we are going to get the text box. Under that, there's going to be a save button. So I'm going to type something and hit on save. The moment I hit on save, what is going to happen is that it says has entry, edit. Why did that happen? That happened because we are now in the else condition. The date entry is not empty anymore. So if I go back for 13th, there is still no entry. For 14th, an entry is there. So it's asking me, now that the entry is there, do you want to, show that? And I say, obviously, I want to show that. Right now, it is just a text. So I want to change that a little. How I'm going to do is that this is straightforward. Instead of has entry dot text, I want the entry itself to start coming here. Okay. How do I do that? I do something as basic as this. So if I say text, I say text, and inside that, I just want the entry for today. And instead of typing all the code here, I'm just going to do this, which says get entry date display. I'm going to write a function. Okay. And this function right here, get entry date display, is going to return to me a certain value. How do I get that? I say string get entry date display. Okay. And it's not going to take any variable. It knows what current date is. All right. And it just does this, super cool thing, because we have already gotten a function called date entry, which tells us that, the so if I say something like var today entry is equal to date entry, that's the function above. Inside the date entry is today's entry, yes or no I am getting. Since I already know an entry exists today, all I'm going to do is that return today entry dot text. I'm going to set it. Okay. uh, I'm going to get the sorry, where's that, the controller that I want. What I want is that today entry dot first. First means if enough more data has been given, get me the first one. And to that, I say dot entry. That making sense? I get today entry is equal to date entry. It returns to me the date in which the entry is there. And I say in the first one of that, get the entry and just show it here. If I save this now, instead of saying has entry edit, it is now going to show me whatever I have typed and saved. It's not going to have this blank thing. It says ADHK because ADHK has been saved. So if I go back and say, show me the entry I typed, yeah, and save it, as soon as I save it, that text comes right here. Okay. Now let's just make it look slightly better. Rather than having it look like just a simple text, we are going to do some cleanup on that one. Okay. And you know what? I think it makes sense to add a container around this. Now we know what this variable is. Okay. I'm going to cut this and keep this in memory. And I'm going to say, give me a container widget. And in the container widget, I want to add a column as the child. And the column is going to have a few children. First one is just this one as it is. The text will come here. And what will also happen is that I want that button once again, material button. So we can take this from here also. We can just copy this. In this, we can use card for better look. Absolutely, Vaibhav, we can. But I'm trying to keep it a little simple. We are not trying to do too many things all at once. But yeah, absolutely, we can use card and make it look better. Okay. So what we are going to do is that we put the text, and under that we put a button. This is not going to say save. Instead, it is going to say edit. Okay. And when I click on this edit button, when I click on the edit button, I want another function to run, which is, first of all, I need to get the data for the edit. I want to create another box in its place. Right now, this is a text display. So in this place, I want to create a box, and I want to put the value of that box there. So what I'm going to say is that I'm going to say get entry function called get entry data for edit. This is the function I'm going to call. Okay. That function obviously does not exist. So we are going to go up here and right under get entry data for display, we are going to create another function called get entry data for edit. Okay. And that one's going to be somewhat funny, because in there, what we are going to do is, first of all, we are going to set the Remember this one, the create thing we had done? Just in case there is some text in it, I want to set it to blank. Okay. I'm going to say entry create dot text is equal to blank. I set that to blank first. And this time I am going to put the value inside entry update. Okay. And entry update dot text, I need to set a certain value. What is that value? It looks like this exactly. It looks like I want today's entry. I can copy this, take this, okay, and then say uh, today entry dot first dot entry, that is going to be set inside here. Is this making sense? Once I click on that edit button, what I want to happen is that I want the current data to come into a box, a text edit box. That's all I want. Okay. And where is that box? We don't have that box yet, but right now that's what I want to do. And obviously I need to do all of this inside a set state. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll show you another way in which you can set the state. You don't have to set it from the function where you're calling it. There is another way to do it. Let's look at that. Instead of doing it like this and going and calling there, I'll show you an alternate way. I can do a set state here also. I can do this and I can put all of this here only. Okay. Sometimes when it's a small function, you can get away with it like this. Okay. I have a set state being happening on the edit buttons press. Now the problem is we are finding ourselves in a tricky situation. The edit button itself that I want, it has to appear only when I click on it. I want to know I am in the edit mode. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that to manage that situation, to know whether I have clicked that edit or not, I'm going to take a boolean called edit mode and I'm going to set it as false by default. Okay. And what I will do is that if I click the edit button here, only when I click the edit button here, I'm going to set the edit mode is equal to true. What has happened now? I have set edit mode is equal to true only on pressing the button edit. Okay. So let's save this. Let's save this for now and observe. This is a bit of a tricky situation because it's a little circular. After setting this edit mode is equal to true, this whole thing should disappear. So if I have edit, okay, I click on this, what will happen now is that something should happen. This should go away and I want a box to come up which says update. Okay. And I know that only when edit mode is true, I need to get rid of that. So within this conditional here, I need another condition. And that condition is if edit mode is equal to false, right? Then I want you to do all of this. However, if edit mode is actually equal to true, where is this one? The container ends here. If the edit mode is true, I want you to say, it like this. If I save this, what's going to happen now is that if you observe, I have clicked on the edit button, edit mode has been set to true now. Okay. And if all goes well, I should see a button, a text that says update, because on pressing of that edit, the thing had come up. Okay. Now, what I really need to do is that obviously I don't want to put it inside this. I want to make it look exactly like this. I want it to look like this, but instead of save, it is going to update. It is going to update an existing one. Okay. So I'm first of all going to copy this, make it look right, and then we are going to make some changes. I put this, okay, and this time the controller should not be create, it should be update. We have taken two already. Okay. The rest is okay. I don't want to call it save, but I want to call it update. And to avoid confusion, I don't want to make it look green. I want to make it look blue. And further, I don't want to call it save entry because I'm not saving a new entry. Instead, I am updating an existing entry. Are you with me now? What we did now was that here, this thing happened. I clicked on the edit. I come to the update screen. In the update screen, all the text has already been set here, by the way. In the past, what we have done is in this function, as soon as the uh, thing was clicked, the edit button was clicked, the text has been set. And now it is being called. All we need to do now is that we need a little something to happen once the update entry function has been called. Update entry is this function. Okay, it does not return anything. It just goes here and it updates an existing entry. Once again, we do that set state thing because we want the screen to refresh as soon as it has been updated. And what we do is that once again, we get a var called current entry this time. Just a variable name I'm taking. Okay. And I say date entry. We've done this enough times now. So hopefully you understand what I'm doing here. I have taken the current entry if it exists or not. If it exists, I'm just going to update it. Okay. And since the button update is going to be clicked only when it exists, we know for sure that it does. So all we are going to do is that current entry dot first dot entry. This is the first thing we have found now. Current entry dot first dot entry is equal to, where is this coming from? Whatever is inside the update controller. Again, we have set it here now. Where's that? We have already set the text here. So we know there is a value inside it. So all I'm saying is that entry date dot text. So in here, I have set the value, and all I have to do is quickly update this itself. Now, this since this value has been copied from here and put inside this current entry, all we are going to do is that we are going to set this to blank so that we clean it up. And now we have to do one more important thing. We should never forget this. Edit mode is no longer true, because once you click on update, edit mode has now become false. Does that make sense? This is not void, this is void, but basically the edit button appeared. I clicked on it. I made edit true. Edit mode is equal to true. This thing appeared. I clicked on the update again. So I'm making edit mode false so that everything goes back to normal. Now, if I say this with any luck, what's going to happen is that I'm going to get yet another box, but this time inside that is going to be some text. Show me the entry that I typed is here now. Okay. And if I type once more, okay, and if I do that and click on update, what's going to happen is everything that was supposed to happen with save has happened, but this time it has updated the existing entry. And this is it. We are right here. If I click on edit, I can go, I can make this is updated and click on update, and this becomes your daily tracker app. You can obviously make this look significantly better. We'll try as much as we can do. We've got about 20 minutes to go on this session today. But overall, at this point, this is a fully, how do I say, functional app, and it is doing whatever needs to be done. Now, I can do something quickly, which is I can obviously, make this, where's the text? This one. I can make it better. I can have some style on this one. So I can say style, text style, and say font size 16. Save that. Hopefully the font size will become slightly better, a little more readable. And I can go to the container where this is put, and I can add some padding here. Sets dot all, and I can add some 10 padding here. Again, these are all just visual things now to start making it look better. If this text color I don't like inside this, I can in the thing I can go change the color itself to white instead of this. I can say style, text style, colors dot white. If I do that, uh, it look slightly better because white goes slightly better on top of green than this. And first of all, I don't want it green only. I don't want any confusion to be there with respect to the colors. So I'm going to change that to blue also. So anyway, so these are some functional changes that you can do. Okay, for people who are already part of my class, you if you feel we have covered all of this before, I think I want to teach you something super cool, something that we have not done in all these days. And you can imagine what will happen is that on a daily basis, I go here, go to the next date, type my content, save it, and all that. In fact, you know what? On that note, I think let's add a little bit of content padding on the text input also. I think there is a certain way to do it. I think I've got it copied somewhere. Okay, rather than typing it all up, I'm going to copy this and come here in the text after here. If I paste this, basically there is something called decoration, and I can do input decoration, content padding, and set insets here. Okay, go slightly above where I have another one. And these are all just visual changes. We can do them or leave them. Uh, Typically, if you do a good job with this, people will want to use it. If restart phone, will it save on our phone? Uh, Restart phone, yes, but uninstall and reinstall, no. Okay, as you can see, the typing is there is in here. If we look at the mobile app, there is some adding now. Okay, so rather than it touching the screen somewhere else, we can have it coming. Can we restrict the user not to enter the diary of the following days? Absolutely, yes, Manan. We can either do that today, or I can teach you something cool. In here, it's as simple as this. Remember, this date has entry. We can say something. Where's that? Wait. We can write a function which says if this is greater than or equal to the day and month and year, then don't allow them to do. That's a restriction that we can put. Absolutely. But I thought today I want to teach you something which is actually going to be super cool. And that thing is about actually making. So if this is here, right, this is just text now, it's not useful. So what I can imagine is that I could turn that itself, this part, the disp date, I want to turn that itself into a button. Okay, and if I click on that, let's see if I can make a calendar appear, and the calendar, I'll be able to select any date and then go to that date. How cool would that be? Yeah. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to put this text inside a material button. Okay, so if I do that, what will happen is that wait, first of all, I have put this text inside a material button. Rather than it being a basic text, I have now turned it into a button, and on pressed, I want it to you know change date. This is what I want to do. On pressed, I want it to change the date, and we are going to make a calendar appear. We are going to select the date from there and go to that date. Okay, and I can't use the term change date, I believe, right? Because we have already used that for plus and minus. You know what, I am going to call it select date. Oops, changing the wrong place. Oops, my bad. Sorry. Hang on. I'm a little confused where I was. Yeah, here we are. Change date. This is something that I just changed from a text into a material button. What is this raw material button? There's an icon button, and then I have this, and I want to change that to select date. Okay. Now select date is a function that does not exist, obviously. So we are going to go create a select date function, and I'm going to say select date, and in here I want to say print calendar. Okay. Right now I want to test if this is working, and if this works, I want to actually make the calendar appear, and I want to uh, okay, where is this? I'm on output terminal debug console. So I come here. If I click on this date, okay, it says show calendar. So it still looks very much like a text field, but right now it's actually a button which has a functional aspect to it. So what I want to do here is that I want to bring in the calendar. Okay, now there's a concept I want you to understand called async. And async means let it happen by itself. Don't stop my work because of that. And select date is basically going to take the context. At this point, if you don't understand what context is, that's okay. Context is this thing which is there in our build. There's a build context. Context means which screen we are on now, and it contains a lot of information. Okay. And in select date, I want to send the context because this is going to come on top of this. If this part was not very clear to you, don't bother too much. Just ensure that context is sent from here and context is received from here in the select date function. Now I have to do is I want a date time called okay. Date time picked is what? It is a function called show date. Okay. Show date picker is the function, and it accepts a few things. What does it accept? It accepts the context, which we are calling context only. So the variable on top here, that is there. The second thing it accepts is it accepts something called initial date. And all I'm saying is that, allow whatever, maybe start allowing from 2020 only. Okay, that's the initial date. And uh, uh, no, I'm sorry. Initial date, I want it to be the selected date itself. This is the selected date. We have that variable inside selected date. I want the first date variable called date time 2020. And what that does is it shows from 2020 onwards. And I want the In fact, I'll tell you what, rather than 2020, let's make it 2019. That is a better year. Last date. And let's say I want to allow up to 2025. Okay. Now that I've given this much, there's an error here. This says it's a future value because we don't have the value yet. So to this, we have to do something called await. Wait for it. Whenever the date picker comes up, whenever somebody clicks on it, then take it, put the value inside picked. If you don't fully understand what is happening here, that's okay. Just remember this code, watch it, type it, and you are good to go. Once this is done, the inside the variable picked is going to be the date on which the person has tapped. Okay. And what we are going to do is that if picked is not equal to null, which means something has been selected, and picked is not equal to selected date. What we are doing here is that we are saying if something has been tapped and that something is not today only, I want you to refresh the screen. And how do I refresh the screen? I do a set state on it. I go for this, I go for this, and then this is going to make you really happy how this whole thing works. All you have to do is that you have to set selected date is equal to picked. You do that, And because selected date is a variable that we are going to use everywhere else, all I'm doing is if somebody taps on it, I want the selected date to be set as the current date. I save this, and if fingers crossed everything has gone fine, what is going to happen now is that we are going to click on this. Did something happen? Wait, what? Yeah, there we go. I clicked on it and a calendar appeared. And how beautiful is it that it is already taking the red color that we're using on top? It looks very much like built for this thing. The calendar comes up and I say click on 13. And if I click on OK, then what happens is it goes to the 13th, right? And let's say I click on this once again, that thing comes up. I go to 31st December and say okay. The change happens here instantly. 31 comes up and we are there. This is we are now in a position to move around. Now imagine if you wanted to go back to January 2020's entry, you'd have to press 355 times to go there, but instead now you have a cool way to reach to the date that you want. And that's it. That is the app that we really wanted to build today. And what we did was that we kind of went from pretty much nothing, okay, and we've got an app that actually allows you to enter every day the Dear Diary entry that you want to enter. After you have entered it, it allows you to save it. It allows you to go back to that, edit it, update it. It allows you to move around one day at a time. It allows you to use the calendar to go to whichever date you want. And we were able to achieve all of this with less than 215 lines of code, of which, if you think about it, the first 30 odd lines is just necessary code. In less than 200 lines of code, we have been able to create a functional app while explaining to everyone how it works in about 90 minutes, in 60 minutes. So imagine the possibilities, guys. Imagine like Manan just asked, can we restrict the user to not enter the diary of the following days and allow you to only go back and enter the previous dates? That's straightforward, right? Now it could be as simple as that. If this right button here, I'm going to disable. How? I can do something like this. I'm not going to do it for you. Take this as a homework. And in fact, I'm going to announce a contest of sorts, and in that the winner is going to be chosen if you guys create that function that you just asked for. And I'll tell you how to do it. Just like this date, we know what date today is, and we are going to check if today's date is the selected date. If now is the selected date, then disable this right button. That's it. If I disable this right button, I'll not be able to go there. And in here, the last day, if I set it to selected date instead of date time, I have to get rid of that. And I say selected date. If I do here, it's not going to allow me to go to the next stage at all. Yeah. And that's that is the way you build this app. There is lots and lots of possibilities for you to make it work right. And I'm really looking forward for you to one, try this out. Two, come join the class. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and come back here. There are no questions to answer, so I'm good. So yeah, this is where we stop. This is where we are, and we are done. And I am very happy with how this went. We worked on a pretty advanced app and created something in about less than 200 lines of actual written code. We were able to create a fully functional app that you can actually start using, keep tracking of your, journal your habits, or create a diary for yourself, and so on. Okay. If you're excited, I'm happy for you. If you're a little overwhelmed, that is understandable. If you can't wait to start coding, come join us. We do this, full app in 90 minutes. And imagine how much we can understand and do in the longer session we are doing. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the classes that I do. The next steps you want to do is, if you have not already done it, install the 4 software, watch the video once more if you have to understand all the elements, pause, code along. You can't just watch and learn coding. Coding is learned by actually typing code. So rewind, rewatch until it is clear. And once you are clear once, you're good to go. Things will just start falling in place and you'll be able to do a lot of things. I have one last thing to share. I have an announcement to make, and the announcement is about Creative Corner. And we have a few categories in Creative Corner. There is beyond school syllabus, where we talk about Vedic maths, robotics, coding, negotiation, financial literacy, chess. So all of these are beyond school syllabus. In Artists Corner, we do something called doodling. I have tried it myself. It's a lot of fun. You should definitely give that a shot. In Entertainers Corner, we have music, we have magic tricks. In Orators Corner, we have effective communication, debating, public speaking, all of those skills that are very vital for you to become better, more rounded students. And in Book Lovers Corner, we have storytelling and poetry. So this is the wide variety of things that you have in Creative Corner, and it's complimentary with Iconic subscription. If you get Iconic subscription, you can take it for 3,000 rupees in 1 month. For 1 month, if you take it for 6 months, you'll get a big discount and make it for 10,000. Up to here, for 2 years 24 months, you get it for 25,000 rupees. And further, I'm typing this in here. If you use Abhilash underscore 10, it is ABHILASH underscore 10. That is my referral code. If you use that to get the Iconic subscription, you will be able to get a further 10% discount on top of whatever you're seeing here. So I would definitely encourage you to go along, sign up for it. There's a lot of value that you can get out of it. And I have an assignment for you. And if you do a video assignment, submit it, you have a chance to get featured on the Creative Corners YouTube channel. And you get an award as well when you do that, right? And Creative Corners December Carnival, this which is happening right now, this is started on 7th December already and going to go till 31st December. Every single day at 4 o'clock, you're going to have free live classes. I'm going to do one more session on website and web app development in a week or two. So take a note of that. Come join us. You will be doing doodling, poetry, magic, web creation, robotics, music, Vedic maths, photography, filmmaking, public speaking. All of these are available for you, and all of these are fully free throughout December. Every day 4 p.m. Come join us. All right. And this is the schedule for the week 1. This is ending today with me. We have already done these 1 2 3 4 5 6 sessions, and then there is me. I've just finished exploring the world of mobile app creations. All of these were free. More sessions are scheduled next week and the week after that also. Okay. And here is my assignment for you. Build this app as it is if you have to, but build it, make it functional, record video of you typing, say something. And if you are able to build a simple mobile app using the concepts you have learned today, it's going to be fabulous. Watch the video again if you have to, build it. And I'm going to share a link, which is which is where you're going to submit your assignments. I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to pin it also. This is going to be pinned on top, so you should be able to submit the video assignments after the session. Okay, that's that. This is the link that I've already pinned. Submit this before 31st December, and you are standing a good chance to win the award. Okay, that's it. That's it from my side. Good luck, everyone. Happy coding. I hope you enjoy coding as much as I like teaching it. And once you get into the zone of coding, what happens is your mind expands a bit and you start becoming better at each step. So thank you very much for joining the class today. And I look forward to meeting you in my free class coming in 2 weeks. Also, sign up for Iconic, use my code Abhilash underscore 10, get a further 10% discount. Come join. Along with everything else that is on offer, we are building at least 5 more mobile apps. Slowly, steadily, we are building games, we are building apps. It's going to be one beautiful ride, lot of new things to learn. I look forward to seeing you there. Okay. by Vaibhav. And if you are watching this recorded, then I suggest that you watch it once and then start coding, and go back to the video every time you have a confusion, and you will become better with coding the more you practice. That's the only way to do it. I've been doing it for the past 15 years, and I am still learning, so there's a lot of learning to be had. On that note, bye bye.